After months of waiting, we've finally gotten our first glimpse of the second part of Amphibia Season 2, and it blew my mind. The trailer contained a ton of new info, so I thought I'd make a video breaking it down. First up, we've got this temple, which seems to be located in the valley. Outside of the temple, a large stone sculpture of a brain is visible on top of the entrance. This suggests to me that this is the Brainstone's temple, which would also make sense with how both the temple and Brainstone come first in the sequence of their respective illustrations. By extension, that would also make it Marcy's temple, as she's the bearer of the Brainstone, as a later scene in the trailer now confirms. I think that's enough about the exterior, so let's talk about what lies inside. The look of this room definitely matches the outside of the temple, and from this we can assume that this is one of the temple's rooms. What's immediately noticeable about the room are the coloured squares on the floor, as well as the runes that light up on the walls. Now, Amphibia actually has a rather easily translated written language, which I believe fans have had cracked for some time now. We can see that it reads, "Dangerous room, what to do, don't be jealous of my hue." This is certainly connected to a puzzle of some kind that involves the coloured squares, most likely similar to the puzzles in Zelda where you'd need to solve it in order to go from one room to the next. This next room also appears to be inside of the Brain Temple. I'm not quite sure what's going on in this scene, but it seems as if Marcy is in some green bubble, perhaps created by her stone, and seems to be rotating the room somehow, probably in order to solve the room's puzzle. Regardless of the reason, the fact that she's the one solving it further proves the theory that this is Marcy's temple. Finally, we also see Marcy run across a room that appears to resemble a chessboard. While this room looks somewhat different to the other rooms, I'm sure that this too is a room inside the Brain Temple. Not only because it's Marcy running around, but also because chess is seen as a test of intelligence and wit. In other words, it requires you to use your brain, which makes sense in a Brain Temple. Now on to the next one. While not looking like a temple per se, this arch appears to be the second temple, and would belong to Anne and the Heartstone. What stands out about this scene is that Marcy's gem is projecting a laser of some kind onto the top of the arch, and well, I have an idea for why this is. So obviously the laser is dispelling the mist. My guess is that now Marcy's stone has been charged from the first temple, it has some new abilities. For example, revealing the location of the next temple, or perhaps even awakening it. My bet is that this stone will trigger a reaction that will cause the temple to emerge from out of the snow. Now, while we don't actually see inside of the temple, I believe that we actually do see what's outside of it, or rather on top of it. In this scene, we see Valeriana from Bizarre Bizarre, along with Anne, on top of some kind of pillar. It seems like she might be performing a ritual of sorts, perhaps to recharge Anne's stone. Valeriana also appears in another scene in the trailer, which I'll talk about later on in the video. Last but not least, we have the final temple, the volcano. So this temple would presumably be Sasha and her Fiststone's temple. Like the Brainstone, the outside of the entrance also has objects which I suspect allude to the stone's nature. That is, of course, these big buff dude sculptures, which I believe represent strength. A few scenes see Anne and Sasha fighting a monstrous amphibious creature made of igneous rock inside of a room with bright purple lighting. The light being similar to the glow of the Fist Stone, igneous rock being volcanic, not to mention the presence of Sasha. This clearly takes place inside of the Fist Temple. I'd have to imagine that this is the sort of final boss, yet again maybe being akin to Zelda where you'd beat him in order to win the temple's prize. I feel as if Anne and Sasha might have been locked inside together, and they're going to have to work together in order to win the battle. Now let's come back to Valeriana, who I mentioned earlier. So in case you don't know, Valeriana is a salamander who appeared in Bizarre Bizarre, and ran a stall which sold mysterious objects, including ones that look strikingly like the Calamity Box. During the episode, she asks herself if Anne could be the one, implying even then that she might have known more about Anne's situation. Not only does she appear on the pillar with Anne, but we also see her sitting down with the gang, presenting to them a sort of illustration depicting depicting 3 cloaked figures praying to the Calamity Box. It's possible that this might be depicting the ritual she was performing on top of the pillar. She is, after all, wearing a cloak like the figures are. I definitely think this could be part of the process for recharging the stones, as I'd said when talking about the ritual previously. Seeing as there are 3 figures in the illustration, I'm thinking that each temple might have their own respective ritual performer. If this is the case, I think Valeriana is Anne specifically, as she refers to Anne as the one in Bizarre Bazaar. That pretty much covers everything I could find out about the temples. So now let's see what else we see the girls get up to. Here we can see Sasha and Grime pictured with a giant hammer. If I had to guess, it's probably from the episode Barrel's Warhammer, and that it is the titular Warhammer itself. Sasha actually looks surprised or shocked to see Grime, so I wonder if he might actually be restraining her or perhaps trying to take it from her for some reason. Judging from the runes, it appears to be no ordinary hammer. You know, if the sparks flying from it didn't already give that away. At the end of the trailer, we see Sasha with her hands thrown up in the air as she approaches a very aggressive looking Anne. It looks as if she may actually be surrendering, and judging from the smoke, this scene probably takes place just after a battle, so I'd be surprised if this was a prelude to a fight. Maybe Grime betrayed her with the hammer. In this scene, we see Marcy furiously slam down a figurine. This is definitely one of Andreas' pieces from when he was scheming in one of the previous episodes. In case you've forgotten, he had chess pieces that looked like Anne and Marcy. If I had to guess, this particular scene is Marcy finding out that Andreas was simply manipulating her. Alternatively, she lost a game of chess against Andreas and she's just a sore loser. As for Anne, we can see her looking rather hurt for some reason while standing in the rain. This is most definitely a scene from the episode after the rain. Slight spoilers for accessible yet unrevealed information, but the synopsis for the episode actually reads, Anne asks Hop Pop to retrieve the music box, bringing some long buried secrets to light. Chances are, the reason she's feeling upset here is due to Hop Pop hiding information from her about the box. Despite this, they must make up as we see the planters hugging and reading Hop Pop's book on the box together. One of the scenes in the trailer is a flashback to the girls' past, presumably to when Marcy and Anne met Sasha. To me, judging by the way Sasha's mouth is synced, she might be saying, leave them alone. Maybe warding off a bully picking on the other 2 girls as they both look terrified before Sasha arrives. Not to mention, she seems to have been in a scrape of some sort after meeting with the girls. I'm wondering if this scene may have inadvertently led to Sasha's current toxic power dynamic in the group. There's not much more to go over, but here's a final few observations that are less important, but are at least worth a mention. During this part of the trailer, it looks like we have Utopians arriving in Wartwood, and I'm thinking that they might have also been the ones who brought along the big bird we see replacing Bessie as Anne's mode of long distance travel. Finally, I identified this scene with Sprig flying through the trees with Ivy as being from the episode Ivy on the Run, and this scene where we see the Planter family finally getting formally introduced to Frobo as friend or Frobo. And that's it for this video. It was a very interesting trailer and honestly it revealed way more than I expected it to. I'm very excited to see how this season ends, as well as to make more videos about it, so hit that subscribe button, gamers. Feel free to comment down below if you think I missed anything important, or want to share your own thoughts. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.